Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. This is our first membership meeting, and we plan to do this quarterly for all of you. This is a really great opportunity for us to be able to share our department chairs, to be able to share with you information that's going to help you with your job every day. We hope that you like what we're doing. I'm sure we'll give you plenty of opportunity to give feedback to us about this meeting today. And we plan to record this, so it will be on our website for all of you to be able to watch again if you'd like, or for flight attendants who are out flying today, they'll be able to see it. And we will also put the PowerPoint on that we are using today. We'll put it on the website for you to download. So don't worry about frantically taking notes today. You'll be able to download the PowerPoint. You can also take screenshots today if there's something you want to really make sure that you have and that you have it with you all the time. You can take a screenshot while we have it up on the screen. That's a good way for while you're out on your trip, that you will be able to refer back to it. We have quite a few department chairs in the room with us here today. We also have our national officers and our communication chair. So I'm going to let the national officers first introduce themselves, since we will not be presenting in this meeting today, but they are here also for questions. So go ahead, guys.
Hi, National Vice President Larry Salas.
Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Harris, APFA National Treasurer and Philadelphia-based flight attendant. I'm very happy to have everyone here and welcome.
Hi, everyone. I'm Josh Black, APFA National Secretary. We're really excited to have this session for you today and get it started. I'm a Philadelphia-based flight attendant as well.
And Paul?
Hi, everybody. Paul Hartshorn Jr., Philadelphia-based flight attendant and communications chair for APFA, responsible for all communications, along with my Phoenix-based flight attendant partner, Brian Clark. Also responsible for all the media outreach and making sure our story gets out to the media. So welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. And I'm Julie Hedrick. I'm the national president for APFA. So we have a lot to share with you today. So we're going to get started on it right off the bat here, because we want to make sure we have plenty of time to share all this information with you. First up, we want to talk to you about our contract action team. They're currently out in some of the bases this week. This is our committee that is out making sure that you know where to go out and find information about negotiations. We're sharing a lot more information with you in this negotiations than we've ever done before here at APFA, and we want to make sure you know where to find that information. One of the best ways to find information is to go to our negotiations website, or I'm sorry, it's on our website, the apfa.org website, and go to our negotiations page. Josh is going to direct you to that and show you what our page looks like today. We just launched this on Monday of this week. Josh, you want to go to the page?
And also, for everyone that's on, we encourage you to take screenshots of whether it's slides or helpful information you find and keep that on your phone, just as a quick reminder. And then from the APFA website, I'm going to show this in a mobile type view, because most of us join or hop on our website from your phones. So you'll click this little hamburger menu and you'll select negotiations. We have some of our featured hotlines on the homepage that give you updates about negotiations. I think the committee puts one out every time after they meet with the company, with management. We've got some information about who's on the committee at the bottom. And then we have this sub menu. So if you click on this, you can view more of the hotlines. We're going to go to the negotiation status page. This is a new page. And we have it broken down by where it is in the process, whether it's open, tabled, if it's been tentatively agreed upon, or if it hasn't been opened yet. We have definitions for what each of these mean. So we encourage you to go on your own time and look at this page and educate yourself on where we are in the negotiations process. I'll open one of these for an example. So deadheading, you can see what proposals have been made by either APFA or by management. And you can see kind of the conversations that are taking place at the table. The negotiating committee and the union really wants you to be involved and educated on where this is at.
Thank you, Josh. So we'll be updating this after every time we meet. So you know exactly where we are in the process, and you can see what your negotiating team is negotiating for you. It's really important to stay as informed as possible throughout this process. And so this is the best place to get your information.
We also have a page for the contract action team that Julie mentioned. Gives you a little bit more information about what the team does, who they are, and we have a form to sign up. We also have an educational page called Understanding Negotiations, where you can get more information on what negotiations actually is. We have a video on what Section 6 negotiations is and some helpful terms. And then finally, we have a page for you to contact the committee if you have any questions. And you can submit that through here.
Perfect. And we've already covered pretty much the contract action team, how you can sign up for that. And basically that's so that when you're out flying, you can help the other flight attendants that are with you, making sure that they know where to go get the information and making sure that they're up to date on what is happening at negotiations today. So we'll move on to our first department who's going to report out to you, and that is our Government Affairs Department. And our Government Affairs Specialist is Allie Malice, and she will be reporting to you now.
Allie, you're on mute.
Ooh, bad way to start. So embarrassing. Hello, everyone. First up, what is 5G and why does it matter to aviation? So 5G is the 5th generation mobile network, and it allows our phones to transmit more data and faster. And this 5G C-band spectrum operates near the same frequencies used by aircraft radio altimeters. And since radio altimeters determine the aircraft's altitude above terrain, any interference in that spectrum could cause the altimeter to read incorrectly. So this is especially important if an airplane is flying or landing when there's weather, fog, or any impairments to visibility. And this issue started 4 years ago when the federal government auctioned off the C-band network to Verizon and AT&T for $81 billion. And it's a valuable spectrum because of the speed and the amount of data it can transmit. But last month, on the eve of turning on these 5G towers near very critical airports, the airlines warned of massive flight disruptions and cancellations in these areas. So at the very last minute, the FAA placed restrictions on certain aircraft functions, and Verizon and AT&T thankfully agreed to limit the power levels of these 5G towers and exclude 5G signal within a 3-mile radius of 80 or so high priority airports to prevent interference. So we're in a good place with this now. It's a short-term fix that protects flight safety and allows aviation operations to continue without significant disruption and cancellations, but there's still some work to be done. And the FCC and the FAA are meeting now on a daily basis, finally, to resolve the outstanding problems. The White House stepped in to ensure coordination is happening promptly. And at this point, we're in a pretty good spot with it. And if you're interested in learning a lot more about it, tomorrow Congress will be holding a hearing on 5G that you can watch online. It's at 11 a.m. Eastern time. That's the website's on the slide, but transportation.house.gov. We'll move on to elections. So the 22 midterm election is November 8th. This is the halfway point between presidential elections, and all members of Congress are up for election. So this is really important. The balance of power in the House and the Senate are up for grabs here. So this is a great time to check your voter registration status, to register to vote, to update your information. Maybe you moved, maybe something's changed, and it's pretty easy to do. You can go to www.vote.org. And in most states, you can register online in 2 minutes. So if you haven't voted in recent elections, you could also be considered an inactive voter and your registration could have been purged. So it's a great time to double check your registration status because you might also have primary races before that November 8th election, and you'll want to participate in those. And as a reminder, the ballots that we cast in November affect all 3 branches of our federal government, and those representatives we elect have the power to appoint individuals who impact our daily lives. We're in a highly regulated industry. And in addition to federal races, there's also critical state and local races on your ballot. You can also look up who is on your ballot and find out if they supported important issues. For example, did they vote for the payroll support program? Would you want to re-elect them to Congress next year? So who you vote for is your choice, but voting is your right, and we encourage you to use it. Next slide, please. Thank you. And finally, I want to touch on the 10-hour minimum rest regulation, which we have all been more than patiently waiting to be implemented. But about 5 weeks ago, on January 3rd, APFA and our fellow flight attendant unions filed official joint comments with the U.S. Department of Transportation. And the DOT received close to 1,000 comments, which is going to take them some time to process and catalog. It slows down the process just a little bit, but we are expecting some new information probably somewhat soon. So please keep an eye out for further information on implementation. And as a reminder, the 10-hour minimum rest is calculated from release to report. I'm going to say that one more time for my friends in the back. The 10-hour minimum rest is calculated from release to report. And that's how it's always been. The words, and I dare not say them here, but behind the door, that is specific to our contract, to the American Airlines Flight Attendant contract, the JCBA. And that is not how the FAA calculates rest periods. Release to report. And that, oh, I got one more slide for you. Yep. So the APFA PAC is a really important way that we can represent you on Capitol Hill. It gives us access, gives us a seat at the table where decisions are made. Again, we're in a highly regulated industry, so what happens in Congress directly impacts our profession. And our power is in our numbers. We might not be able to give large single dollar amounts, but we can pool our money together. And if we all donate $1, $2, $5 a paycheck, that adds up really quickly. And if you pull out your calculator, you can see what 24,000 times 1 times twice a month is. And that's a really large amount and a really significant voice in Washington. There are always voluntary contributions. You can start and stop at any time. You can set up a payroll deduction. That's super easy. You can also give a one-time deduction, or we also have an option to give through your credit card now if you'd like. Want to be very clear that dues money is never used to support political candidates. And it's a way that we can make sure that the flight attendant perspective is heard. So www.apfa.org/PAC. Again, another quick 1-minute little thing you can do when you have a little bit of time. And that is it from Government Affairs today. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Allie, and thank you and Lori Vito-Glatley, who is our co-chair of our Government Affairs Department, for all the work you've done. The last couple of years have been very busy for Government Affairs, as all of us know. Without all of your work, PSP may not have happened. We needed all the help we could get, and so thank you so much for continuing that work. And the 10-hour rest rule, yes, we know everyone has been waiting for that for, let's see, it's been since October of 2018 that passed. So it's time, and it will be here very soon. I know I feel like we've been saying that forever, but it will be here soon. We're working on it. All right, we're moving on to our National Health Chair, Kathy Sharp, and she will be reporting out today on pandemic leave.
Yes, I wanted to discuss pandemic leave today because a majority of our calls are regarding filing pandemic leaves, all of the things regarding COVID. January, we had the highest volume of pandemic leaves filed since the beginning of the pandemic. So felt this a good time. The company got on board and brought us some great resources. So we're going to walk you through how to find the pandemic policy on JetNet. So you're going to go to Team Member Services, Leaves and Returns,
Make sure you log in.
make sure you log in, that's the key. And if you'll scroll down, it's pandemic leave of absence. That is the current policy. And it's a good idea to check, and if you're filing for pandemic leave, check and see if the policy hasn't changed. It changes frequently. But since currently we're following a 10-day pandemic leave for our flight attendants, they broke down this information to who qualifies for pandemic leave. And if you're fully vaccinated or have a medical or religious exemption, you are eligible for pandemic leave. If you've tested positive for COVID or have been exposed to a confirmed case of someone with COVID and are having symptoms, you can get a pandemic leave with a doctor's note and a test, waiting test results. We still do have that. How long is your pandemic leave? Currently, it's 10 days. It's up to 10 days. So if you're going and having a test because you have symptoms have been exposed and it tests negative, your pandemic leave ends the date of the test, result back. If it's positive, it's up to 10 days. And then who qualifies for, oh, we had that twice. Sorry. Oh, how'd I do that? Sorry about that, guys. And then who does not qualify for pandemic leave? What does it? It says if you're not vaccinated or do not have a religious or medical exemption accommodation, negative test without supporting documentation or recommended testing, self-isolation out of abundant caution or pre-existing health condition, antibody testing does not qualify, at-home tests that are not proctored by a doctor or a healthcare provider. If you exceeded the maximum number of days of paid pandemic leave policy, they reset the date in October. That so you had a fresh new bank, and for flight attendants, it's 10 to 14 days. That they both said 14. CDC was 10. So depending on if you're having symptoms at day 10, but for the most part, since we're getting Omicron and mostly everyone's vaccinated, the duration of time that you're ill is less than 10 days. So, you know, I would not submit your pandemic leave until you actually are getting better. You don't want to submit at the beginning and ask for 10 days, and you only need 5 because you only have a short bank. They have now limited the number of days, the maximum days you can have for pandemic leave. And working with ARC, we found out there's a problem with processing, that these are tips that will help you get your pandemic leave process faster. Your subject line should contain your name, employee number, and your work group. Communicate with your AA.com email. Use the name that's on file with the company. So like my husband's name is Bart, but his official name of the company is Gordon. So you want to put Gordon Sharp as the name in the subject line. It says always include your employee number, send one email with all of the attachments, and refrain from sending multiple emails. That slows the process down. So hopefully, I do know that the number of leave requests has dropped by 75% as of like yesterday. So that's really good. So we're rounding the curve with the Omicron. So hope that helps you with your filing process and questions about pandemic. If you have any, please feel free to reach out to us, and we will get through this.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy.
Great information. Glad that the website is now up to date, and make sure you go down to flight crew. You know that it is different for ground workers than it is for the flight crew.
Absolutely, and they did break it up, put it together in the same, so you didn't have to search so far. They've done a great job with what they put on JetNet. I was very appreciative.
Good. All right, great. We also are getting a lot of questions, negotiations questions, and the negotiating committee is not on this call today. We will have a town hall with you soon, where it will be just about negotiations. So we really appreciate the questions coming in, but we will save those for another day. If you are sending in questions also for any of our departments, we will try and answer those at the end. If we don't have time to get to all of those, then we will make sure that we address those either at our next town hall, or we will go ahead and we normally put hotlines out when we see we've got a lot of questions about that are all about the same topic. So keep sending in the questions. That's fine. I just wanted to let everybody know that the negotiating team will have their own separate town hall. There's a lot of information that will be shared with you with that team. All right, we're going on next to our National Hotel Department, and our chair is Michael Malul.
Thank you, Julie. To the next slide, please. So a primary goal at the National APFA Hotel Department is to modernize by being a very data-driven department. Now, what does that mean? Data is a result of you, your feedback, the flight attendants. When you are on the line and overnighting and you have a wonderful experience, you want to provide positivity, give us some negative and or positive feedback, it's important you let us know. The reason being, with that feedback, we are able to identify trends, and those trends are going to help us produce results. So how do you submit feedback, whether it be a hotel issue, concern, positive or negative feedback? You're going to go to our APFA website and fill out the hotel and transportation feedback form. Now, why this is most important is this form captures all the pertinent information we need from the National Hotel Department to investigate with the company. It will capture your layover city, your employee number, any IROP situation you might be in, all the information that we need to investigate and escalate on your behalf with management is in this hotel and transportation feedback form. Now, if you find yourself on the go, on the run, you're in a van, you just need to send a quick note to the hotel department, please send that to hotel@apfa.org. Our department prides itself in every report that you receive, you will get a personalized response from one of our committee members. We are tracking, recording all of this data on your behalf, one, to support the recent presidential grievance that was filed last year, and also to create this data to then address and escalate issues on your behalf at APFA. Another focus of our department, as you will see, last December, we sent out one of many surveys. We will be looking at submitting surveys for international markets as well as domestic markets. Now, what these surveys do, they do give us a snapshot of a specific hotel and or market. But as I said earlier, if you can go back, Josh, real quick. Oh, there you go, that's fine. This data helps us get a pulse of what our flight attendants are experiencing. So with this data, when we see an area of improvement or a reoccurring issue, the APFA Hotel Department can request a site review and inspection of a market. So there's many reasons why a market can be reviewed. It could be because of this data, expiration dates, or hotel closures. So if you go to the next slide, Josh, this is just a snapshot of a recent survey that we sent out. The middle graph shows all the bases and their participation in this survey in regards to one hotel. You'll look on the left, you will see 59% of the survey participants rated this particular hotel as good or excellent. On the right, you will see the membership's response if they suggest to either remain, leave, or indifferent to the property. Next slide, please, Josh. So using that survey data and flight attendant feedback received from the hotel transportation feedback form, in addition to submissions sent to hotel@apfa.org, our department traveled to an international market just this month. And I kind of want to give you a whole snapshot. Often flight attendants say, why are we here? Why are we not there? Why are we at this hotel? I do want to focus that we do hear you, we do hear your voices, and that is our goal and objective when we visit these markets, to improve our layover crew accommodations and transportation. So for example, on a recent site review, myself, the APA hotel chair, as well as American Airlines management, went to an international market. In that market, you will see 90 hotels were inquired about if they were interested in American Airlines crew business. Believe it or not, we are not like your average leisure or transient guest. We, check in at different and varying times. We have different contractual obligations. So not every hotel wants to work with crew. Also to keep in mind, many other hotels might already have other crew. Since by having other crew, they often analyze their business mix and what is the best need for them. And maybe just one competitor carrier is all they need. And they just simply do not or cannot bid on American Airlines business. So speaking of a recent site inspection our committee went to, 90 hotels were inquired and only 10 were interested. Out of those 10, when we review and site and meet with these hotels, our primary goal and objective is to make sure the hotels meet Section 6 of the JCBA. You can go to the APFA website to look at this specific criteria that we're looking for in a hotel. So after this recent site inspection, out of those 10, only 4 hotels met the requirements. So what happens after that? The site review is concluded. The APFA National Hotel Department analyzes the historical data that we've been capturing on the market since the last review was conducted, looking at survey data, hearing from you. And with that information and data will really help us submit a recommendation to management. Now, once they receive a recommendation from both unions, it is our job to then essentially come to a mutually agreed upon property. After we agree on a property, it takes the hotels and the communication with management, the contractual process, the legal process, making sure all the I's and T's are dotted and crossed. Once that has happened, an official new hotel will be selected. That selection will be officially announced via a CCI message. So once you see that CCI message, that will announce our new crew accommodation. That information and new hotel will also be updated on the APFA website under the hotel section. And also on your tablet and CCI, you can go to HIDIR, HTL, and you can see all the pertinent information such as where to pick up your van, hotel numbers, addresses, and telephone numbers. So that's very a high level overview of kind of start to finish of why your feedback matters. We love to hear from you, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because when we hear that information, that is what we can drive results and we can drive change. So thank you guys very much. We are very proud of the great improvement that we have seen across our entire portfolio. We really feel that in the past 2 years, our hotels for our flight attendants have greatly improved. So a lot of that is in due part to your feedback and for us able to fight for you at the hotel department and request and demand that change from the company. So thank you very much. And next time you guys are laying in bed, scrolling on your phone, maybe do I say Facebook? Instead of posting there, shoot us a note, let us know how we're doing. We would love to hear from you, and we look forward to continued improvements and sending out some more surveys in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael. Yes, when they're laying in on their layover, right? Laying there in the hotel, thinking about if they like this hotel or not, or if we need a change. Thank you so much for that report. And we're going to move on to our contract department chair, and that is Jeff Peterson.
Hello, hi everyone. Just a couple of things I want to talk about today. First, holiday peak day and perfect attendance incentive payments. We've gotten a lot of questions on what exactly is included in the perfect attendance payments and the holiday peak day payments. So I just want to break down what does, first of all, with the holiday peak day pay, because there are 2 components to this incentive that we got. What does 150% mean? And on the screen here, I have an example of a San Francisco trip, a JFK to San Francisco trip that operated in December. So it was wholly within the peak period. So the company red flagged that trip. So the 150% pay that we got for the incentive is actually the same. It pays out the same as a normal red flag does. So this trip is worth 12 hours and 29 minutes, which represents 100% of pay and credit for the value of the trip at your regular hourly rate. And then in the next slide, we will see that since this trip was red flagged, the red flag pay for this is 6 hours and 15 minutes, which represents an additional 50% pay, no credit at your regular hourly rate. So in the next slide, we see that the 1229 plus the 615, 100% plus 50% equals 1844. So the 150% is 18 hours and 44 minutes times your regular hourly rate. So that's what 150% means. Now,
That's the same as we're paid for red flag.
that's exactly the same as what we're paid for red flag. So even if your trip for some reason didn't fall within that peak period and it wasn't red flagged, that is how you're going to be paid, the same exact way as we are paid for red flag. Now, the perfect attendance payment, while we haven't received it yet, that is an additional 150% on top of what we got paid for our red flagged or our initial 150% for the peak pay. So that's 12 hours and 29 minutes at 100%. An additional 50% or 6 hours and 15 minutes. That totals 1844, which is the first 150%. And then we will be paid an additional 1844 or 150% for a total of 37 hours and 28 minutes on this trip. So that would, the 37.28 times your hourly rate equals the 300%, if you qualify, in fact, for the perfect attendance. So we know that those trips that were wholly within the perfect attendance, or excuse me, within the holiday peak period in December were paid out in mid-January. The additional 50% for qualifying duty periods during the November period were paid out on a special check in January on the 26th. The next 50% for qualifying duty periods in December and January will be paid out no later than the end of February. And then the perfect attendance incentive, the additional 150% will be paid out by the end of March. All right. So if you have any questions or you want to dispute anything that you, any of your holiday peak day pay, just file a direct connect on Crew Portal under links. There's a direct connect tab there. So we're going to move on right now to vaccine verification. As we know, all flight attendants were required to be either vaccinated or submit an application for an accommodation by January 4th. If you have not yet submitted proof of vaccination, you should do so at aa.com/vaccine status. If you are vaccinated, if you have submitted proof of vaccination, the company has added the SPL training code 21 to your HI display 9. And that you can see at the bottom of your HI 9, there's a little 21 there in the bottom with all your training codes. Only flight attendants with the code 21 on their record will be permitted to fly to destinations that require a vaccination. Now, flight attendants who are vaccinated are also strongly encouraged to get a booster shot, and you can submit verification of a boosted status through the link aa.com/booster shot. Now, it is likely that some destinations will start requiring your most recent vaccine dose to be within a certain period of time. We saw that back in, I believe it was December. Italy at first had put forward a requirement that there be a certain recency to your vaccine. It was 9 months. The company was able to negotiate an exemption for flight attendants, so that was not put into effect. But it is entirely possible and likely that those types of requirements will be put into effect. So how do you know what your most recent dose is? How do we know what the company has recorded as our most recent dose? Your HI-22 shows all of your training codes, and the date of your most recent vaccine dose will be displayed next to the code 21. So I have that red area or the arrow there pointing to my most recent booster shot was on the 8th of October. So that's how I know that if there were, let's say, a 6-month recency requirement, I know that I would be able to fly that destination based on that date there. So you can access your HI display 9 and your HI-22. They're viewable on mobile CCI and the documents section. So I've highlighted those there so you can see where you go to see your codes. And that's all I have, Julie. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. And when the countries all of a sudden are going, or I shouldn't say, when they're going to require the vaccine or the booster, we don't get much notice.
No.
Right? A lot of times it's been today and tonight, right? Or tomorrow, you have to be vaccinated to go into that country. So there's not a lot of notice on this at all. And that's been a big part of the issue. Right?
Yes.
So it's really good to already have that in place so that that happens. Because I know they called a lot of flight attendants when it happens, like for tonight or tomorrow, and had to ask them if they're vaccinated.
Yeah, so with the booster shot, it'll be likely similar, so.
Yeah, okay, great. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Okay, next we're moving on to our EAP department, and Sharon Dunn is our EAP specialist for this department. Sharon?
Hello, I'm happy to be here to share a brief overview of the EAP department. You can either take a screenshot or write down the contact information. Also, take notice of the fact that everything is confidential. Next. As everyone is aware, we are dealing with some very challenging times. We understand how mental health can impact your home life and work life, you know, and so we really want to encourage everyone to reach out to us and we can give you some guidance. Our department works with our EAP managers along with an outside vendor, which is Aetna. Aetna has clinicians that man the phones 24/7, and they can discuss your issue and then also give you a referral for a therapist in your area. It could be either virtual or in person. And something important that they're able to give is a code for your first 4 free sessions. And that is available not only to you, but to anyone that lives in the home with you. This is just something I'd like to go over that happens quite often when you go in for a random test. What's very important here is that you have to wait 45 minutes. Now, if you're there, don't pay attention to what signs are on the door, what for the hours. Your responsibility is to be there for 45 minutes. If within that 45 minutes the tester does not show up, the only way you can leave is if you get released from Bridget Kirshner. She's our designated employee representative, or if you can't reach her, you call the MOD. You cannot leave until you are released from someone. Next. We get a lot of calls, and all the calls, they want to know what prescriptions you can and cannot take. They don't give us a list of drugs, but what they do say is your prescription must be current within 6 months. So saying that, if you had an old prescription for pain medication, you had something left over and the pain came back, you would have to go to your doctor to get a new prescription. And something else that others are calling about is using CBD and hemp products. They are prohibited because they are not FDA approved. And sometimes you can get a positive test showing that you have your test for marijuana. Next. I also want to encourage you to reach out to Bridget if you notice any irregularities. And something that happens to some people have an issue with voiding enough urine for the test. And so what you would need to do is if you're not able to do that, you should see your primary care physician and get some sort of medical documentation. That will, at least when the medical review officer calls you, then you could at least give him that, or him or her, that information, and you could possibly get the test thrown out because it will be considered as a failed test. And I think that's all I have today.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sharon, for that information. And the 45 minutes, waiting the 45 minutes, that's if no one is there to do that, right? So
Right.
Normally, I mean, in our normal testing, you know, you go in and
You could be there, like an instance like this where you can't void enough urine, you could be there for 3 hours.
Yes, okay. All right, thank you, Sharon. Okay, we're moving on to our professional standards, and our professional standards specialist is Jillian Buzenda.
Thank you, Julie. As Sharon had just said, we all know that these past few years have been incredibly challenging. And with that, some people do have additional personal stress that may leak into their work life. That can sometimes lead to conflict with coworkers. I'd like to take a few minutes to explain to those unfamiliar with professional standards who we are and what we do. I would also like to encourage our members to visit the APFA website at any time for more information and for a list of who to connect with at Professional Standards if and when the need arises. If you are to go to your apfa.org website, sign in, and under departments, you'll see at the bottom, you'll see a page with a link to all the reps and phone numbers and emails attached when you hit the icon that says Professional Standards and scroll down to the bottom of the page. We on the Professional Standards teams are working with flight attendants at various crew bases to provide assistance to our peers. The goal of Professional Standards is to act as a neutral facilitator in promoting conflict resolution skills and to help our peers to resolve issues with other employees in a confidential and non-punitive manner. If in doubt in any situation, of course, we're available to consult with, and when needed, we can direct you to any proper resources, including EAP. These resources with EAP and us work closely together, as well as with other union professional standards representatives, including the APA, the pilot union. We want to foster a healthy work environment, and we set a positive example and encourage flight attendants to learn from each situation. I personally feel that every call that comes in is an opportunity for all involved, including us, to learn. And once we're contacted, we determine the best course of action, and usually that means contacting all the parties involved. We will obtain all necessary information and then assist the parties to resolve the issue to completion. We encourage flight attendants to contact us at the first level of intervention on issues of conflict that aren't already being handled by the company or their base union officers. And again, this is a confidential resource which has been highly effective for many years. I encourage you flight attendants to talk to other coworkers when you're at work and explain what you've learned today, and encourage them to go to our APFA website to learn more. Again, we are your peers, and we'd like you to feel free to contact myself or any of the reps at any time when you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jillian. And one of the changes, we are working on our website, and we are redoing a lot of our pages. The negotiations page was the first change on our website. You'll see many more coming in the months to come. And one of the changes that we have made is we had a lot of the information that was on our website you had to sign in to get. So we've changed that. The majority of information on the APFA website today, you do not have to sign in. So we want to make sure, because I know I talked to many flight attendants who've had struggled with this, or they forget their passcode. Even if that's the case, you can still get a lot of information from our website. And the page we just went to is now in front of the firewall, so you do not have to sign in for that. So I know we'll kind of maybe walk through, if we can at the end, how, if you're having a hard time signing up to get our email, our hotlines, I'll have Eric walk through that with you on what you need to do. Okay, just wanted to mention that, because thank you, Jillian, for saying that, because it reminded me of the change we made to the website. All right, we're moving on to our DE&I committee, and we have Rhonda Curtright and Chadrian Calhoun who will be reporting out on this for us today.
All right, thanks, Julie, and good to be here, everybody. Who is APFA Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee? We are a group of flight attendants who have volunteered and are interested in promoting and encouraging our members' differences and everything that makes us all unique. And we work together to understand and engage with you all and stay informed. We work to find solutions. We are continually growing in knowledge, listening, and encouraging everyone to give input and be involved. And some of what we've done and what we're doing is we attended the Phoenix Town Hall in January, and along with Deborah from Contract Action Team, and we hope to have opportunity to participate in town halls at all of your bases. We are talking about a diversity fair in Phoenix. And so we are working with Robin, Phoenix-based president, and Socorro, along with the DE&I committee, all flight attendants who want to participate and share your culture, beliefs, interests. And we think it's going to be a fun, welcoming event to listen and share with one another. And I want to take this over to Chadrian, who's going to tell us about our projects and our next meeting and how to get involved.
Thank you again. I am Chadrian Calhoun, Philadelphia-based flight attendant and co-chair for diversity, equity, and inclusion. So as a committee, we've worked on a few different initiatives. The first one we worked on was what does diversity, equity, and inclusion mean to you? We have some short videos from our officers and a lot of our chairs and some membership across the company, and we look forward to sharing that with you all on a hotline coming soon. The next project that we worked on is gender identity and pronouns. This was very informational and a good education piece that we again look forward to sharing with you all in the future, just so that you can join in on that conversation. And the project that we have that's coming up that's under development now is centered around microaggressions. Josh, go to the next slide for me. And this is where we're going to be speaking about just different ways that we communicate and might unintentionally or subtly do something that's insulting or offensive to any of our peers. This project is still underway, so if anyone has any thoughts, ideas, or want to participate, this is a great opportunity to do so. And we are always looking for membership to join in on the conversations. Our meetings are centered on the second Monday of the month at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. It is housed through the Teams app. By all means, if you're wanting to join in, it is open and we are welcoming to anyone that wants to participate in the conversation. You can reach us at DEI@apfa.org if you have any questions or would love to join the committee or just sit in on a meeting or expressing your ideas. We definitely welcome and look forward to speaking with you all.
Thank you very much, Rhonda and Chadrian. You guys are doing great work. We're really excited about this new committee here at APFA, and we look forward to many more meetings and changes here coming from this committee. Okay, next we're moving on to IOD department, and that is the Thalia Paxton is the IOD chair.
Good afternoon, everyone. Injury on duty it actually does mean injury on getting injured on the job. And it is also considered workers' compensation. So in order to report an injury on duty, there's a number here, 844-777-8463, and a registered nurse is available 24/7 to take your report. So I guess next slide. So I guess I just gave that information for the first Q&A. And when the nurse answers, the registered nurse answers the phone call, they will assess and recommend appropriate medical options and complete your report. And the nurse will also send you an AA IOD pamphlet. And you are not required to follow the nurse's recommendations. You are free to seek medical treatment, and you just need to advise the registered nurse of your intention. Also, if the recommendation is telemedicine and you'd rather have an in-person visit, you may do so, but you need to let the nurse know that is your intention. And we have a couple links here for the APFA webpage for IOD, the IOD department, and also a link to the JetNet for their workers' compensation page. And next question, is there a timeline to file an IOD? And I made a couple typos here, but I'll go down the states. Arizona is as soon as the injury occurs or when you become aware of your condition. Pennsylvania is within 21 days. So here we go to Texas, Virginia, California, Florida, New York, and North Carolina. Those the injury needs to be reported within 30 days.
Illinois is 45 days. Massachusetts is as soon as possible, and I'm sorry, I put in Missouri there, but we don't have a base there anymore, so you can scratch that out. That's about it with IODs. But the most important thing is, even if you're not sure whether you should file an IOD, you can always file the IOD with no lost time. Because of the timeline, if you wait too long and you pass the report time, it's very rare that your claim would be accepted.
Good information. Great, Belia.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next up, we have our safety chair on with us today, Vivian Stubblefield, and she'll be reporting out on safety and cabin ASAP.
Hey, everybody. So as some of you might be aware, we've seen an uptick in the number of smoke, odor, fume incidents. And as a result of that, we've gotten a lot of questions regarding, what the proper procedures are when you find yourself in an SOF event. So I kind of wanted to take this opportunity to explain a little bit about what smoke, odor, fume events are and what the proper steps are that you should take if you find yourself experiencing one. So in short, a smoke, odor, fume event is any sort of abnormal odor, smoke, or haze in the cabin. And it's important to know that if you are experiencing that and you feel unwell at all, you should seek medical attention at the nearest emergency room. If you need assistance arranging travel or being removed from your trip, in order to do that, you should call Daily Ops immediately. I've included the phone number on the slide if you want to take a screenshot of it to have on your phone. And then if you have any questions about, next steps or what the company should be doing to support you, you can always email safety@apfa.org or iod@apfa.org, and we'll be able to answer those questions promptly. So I included kind of an example of what should happen if you have a smoke, odor, fume event that's occurring in flight. It's important that you notify the flight deck immediately and describe the type of odor that you're smelling, if you're feeling any sort of adverse physical effects as a result of it. And what they would do is contact the IOC, who would then request, if you're heading to a base station, that a flight service manager or an MOD would meet your flight, and they would conduct the smoke, odor, fume checklist. This checklist details the event as it happened, who was affected, the type of odor that it was, if you needed medical attention, and they disperse it to the appropriate departments that track the metrics surrounding smoke, odor, fume occurrences, and it also comes over to us at APFA, and we use it as a way to make sure that you get the help that you need to get when it's time to get it. So again, I cannot stress this enough. If you feel unwell, do not feel like you have to continue. You can get off the trip, you can seek medical attention, and the company might suggest going to an urgent care, but given the type of testing that needs to be done to see if there's any sort of carbon monoxide poisoning, it's imperative that you go to an emergency room so that you can have that test done. And again, as Belia said, filing an IOD is critical. It will ensure that your first medical visit is paid for, so it's not coming out of your pocket. And again, documentation and data are everything. So it's important to file a SIRS report in a timely manner. And if you feel that this should be submitted to the cabin ASAP program to go to the attention of the company, APFA, and the FAA, you can always do that as well. So one of the objectives of the cabin ASAP program this year is to spend some more time educating flight attendants as to the intent of the program and what it's used for and the effects of reporting. So proactive reporting is something that we're seeing an increase in. Traditionally, flight attendants think of cabin ASAP as a way to just self-report any inadvertent FAR violation, but it's also a means of documenting safety concerns that you encounter as it's happening. And the best example that I have of that was there was a trend coming out of cabin ASAP where flight attendants were seeing that oxygen bottles were not being packed properly, and it posed a significant risk because they would be unusable in the event of a medical emergency. So as a result of the reports that came in and the trend that was tracked and then reported out to the company and to APFA, the fleets were audited and that problem was resolved. So the ERC is the Event Review Committee, and that is a representative from the FAA, a representative from APFA, and a representative from the company. And basically, they look at every report that comes through, they evaluate the root cause, and they come to a consensus on whether or not to accept the report. It's an entirely confidential program. And again, these trends are reported out and the data from the trends are used to drive change in the company. That's all I have.
Okay. Thank you, Vivian. Great information. Let's see here. We're moving on to our next department, and that is our scheduling department, who's, you know, it's so always right at scheduling. You know, you guys get to stop at 5 o'clock, don't you? We're all laughing because contract and scheduling, especially right now with all the storms going on, rescheduling, I know how busy you've been. So Marty's going to help you out. Marty McMillan is our scheduling chair, and she'll help you out with some of, hopefully, answers to some of their questions about especially rescheduling.
Hopefully. Okay. Thanks for being here. So first of all, though, we are going to talk about PBS. One of the main calls that we seem to get on the contract scheduling desk every month is about how do I file a PBS miss award? I think I have a miss award. So we just wanted to make sure everybody's really clear on the process for doing that. First of all, you need to go on the crew portal and click on the support tab, click on links, and then you'll see that there's some drop-down menus there. And you'll want to click on PBS and I think the next slide, Josh. Yeah, and award question, and then you get a nice size box where you can put in what you think your issue is with your potential miss award. Remember that the deadline to file for a miss award is always on the 24th at noon. So make sure you get that in. That's your first step. Your second step then would be, if you'd like to follow up with APFA, is to send us either an email to pbs@apfa.org, or you can use, we also have a form on the website for miss awards, and you can complete one of those. And we look at every one of those. We look at the notes from the company as well. And if we feel that you, the answers from the company maybe weren't what we see, we will follow up with the company on your behalf and talk you through the process and what you need to do next. So just make sure, though, you always file with the company first. If you don't file with the company, not much we can do. So make sure you do that. There's resources. We also get a lot of questions about how to help me bid. Just so everyone knows, we have about 6 reps. We usually try to have 5 on per day. There's 25,000 of you. We just don't have the budget, unfortunately, to be able to offer bidding assistance. We wish we could, but we can't. So I do want to point out some of the resources on the APFA website. There are tons and tons of resources, and we've tried to narrow them down to topics so that you don't have to read an entire PBS guide. So you can click on some of these topics and pull up really easy to understand language for PBS bidding. The company also has some resources as well. And if you click on the flight service page on JetNet, and then you go to crew change, and I've put a picture of where to find crew change just in case you haven't really noticed it, because sometimes, you know, that's on a rotational thing and you may have clicked, just missed it. So click on crew change and it'll take you to many other resources. There's some great training videos on that page as well that you can look at, and they'll really give you some great information on how to bid as well. All right, so now let's talk about rescheduling, because it's wintertime, and as we know, we've been hit with several storms already. Jeff and I and Renee Mayer have written several hotlines about rescheduling. We've kind of tried to drill it all down to each section of the JCBA, section 10J. If you haven't read it, I strongly encourage you to read it as well. But we have prepared several hotlines. I've noticed on Facebook, a lot of people are saying that they're liking to download those to your phone. So if you would download those, because when you're in the midst of getting rescheduled, you don't have time to flip through your contract and figure out what they're trying to do. So make sure you have those really accessible to you. If you think that you're being rescheduled illegally, please call our desk, the APFA Contract and Scheduling Desk. We'll be happy to help you out. If it's after hours and we are not available, you can always call a base rep. They can help you out. Your base reps are always available as well. And just remember, knowledge is power. If you know your contract and you've got those rescheduling hotlines right there at your fingertips, you can read them the section of the contract that you feel like they're not following. And that, you'd be amazed at how many times you can advocate for yourself and solve the problem right from the jump. So we're gonna talk about where you can contact. Oh, we'll do this part first. Okay, so a lot of people are confused on how you actually can download from APFA's website. So Josh is gonna go to the APFA website, and if you'll go to departments, and then click on scheduling. You can search our hotlines there. There's our scheduling desk. Or if you don't want to read through all of that, you can go to the search bar and just type in rescheduling. Click on that. And you'll see we have several hotlines. This last one that we sent one out yesterday, but this one also for Winter Storm Keenan. We put links to every single rescheduling hotline that we have done over the last few months. So you can click on those. And then once you pull up, if you want to just click on one of those prior to report hotlines, Josh?
This one?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So, oh, it looks like it went to the contract.
Yeah, we'll have to.
Okay,
check those
fix
links.
a link.
If you go to Izzy, it'll show you like the
Yeah.
report stuff.
Yeah,
There we go.
there you go. That's a really good one. And this is a really good one to have because it kind of gives you the down and dirty about all of the provisions in the contract. You can right click on these and save it as a PDF, and it'll direct you to where to save it. And some, like on my computer, I have 3 little dots up at the top right corner. I click on that, it does the same thing. Save as a PDF, tells me, asks me where I want to save it to, and I just direct it where I
Or if
want
you're
to
on your
save.
phone, there's different ways of doing that too.
Correct. So, yeah. So, then the next one. So our hours that you can contact us at APFA, we have contract and scheduling reps available from 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. Monday through Friday by phone. And then we also have live chat available in the evenings, Monday through Friday from 3 p.m. till 11 p.m. All of these are Central Time, Dallas time. And then on weekends and holidays, we have live chat open from 9 to 5.
And we recommend you take a screenshot of this so you can keep the hours on your
Yes.
phone.
Exactly. And that's the phone number that you call. And Josh is showing you on the APFA
Yeah.
landing
I'll actually
page.
show them on the website.
Okay.
Oops. If I can. So we've got this button where you can chat. So if you're on your phone, you can do it through iMessage. If you have an iPhone, Kik, you have different options, or just web chat.
Very good.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. I know we have a storm that looks like it's on its way here to Dallas.
Today.
So if you're going through Dallas or if you're based here, you might want to get those hotlines downloaded.
Have them ready.
You know,
Yep.
we kind of have been here a lot lately. So,
Right.
but the last storm that we had last weekend, there were a lot of resources. We had a lot of flight attendants reaching out, and I know you guys helped a lot of flight attendants with rescheduling. So,
Right.
thank you very much. Great information. And we are moving on to our JCBA specialist, Renee Mayer.
Hi, everyone. I just want to talk to you a little bit about the scheduling tools, TTS, UBL, ETB, and reserve issues, and miss awards. If you have any questions or problems with any of these systems, please be sure to fill out a scheduling system issues report. This way, APFA is aware of the issues and we can address them. If you have questions on miss awards as well, we can research and verify if it was a miss award and make sure that you follow the proper process. And on the next slide, you must fill out a direct connect within 96 hours of the miss awarded run. This is really important. So if you think that you even have a question at all, that maybe it might have been a miss award, get that direct connect in. The Miss Award Guide is available. There's a link to it on APFA, but on JetNet, if you were to go to Crew Change, it is right there on the bottom of the Crew Change homepage. So we want to make sure that if it was a Miss Award, that everybody's getting paid properly. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. Okay, next up we have Kim Tuck, who is our retirement specialist, and she has definitely been a very busy department over the last couple of years. I know you've helped a lot of flight attendants because you've had a lot of VOPs, a lot of retirement, so she's going to help you out with some more information.
Thank you. We have had a busy few years because of the COVID crisis, and we've had multiple virtual retirement seminars. And a lot of people call us and want to know, are they recorded? The answer is yes, they are. And where to find the recordings on our website. So one way is to log in, go to the APFA website. You don't actually have to log in anymore to get to this information, thanks to the recent change. But you go to departments and then retirement, and then you should see the most recent seminars available on the retirement page. Also, there's a link that you can go directly from the home page to the most recent town halls, and they're in there as well. So that will make it easier. Also, we wanted to let you know that we have a couple of retirement. We've had one so far this year, and it was very well attended. We had probably between 120 and 150 people on the seminar the whole time. So it was great, and it's good the information's getting out there for people. So even though COVID's kind of slowing down a little bit, maybe, we still have people retiring. So we've had one seminar so far, and we have 2 more scheduled at this point. One will be on February 23rd, and it will be from 11 to 1. It's going to be a virtual seminar, and this particular seminar is going to be targeted at the people who took the VOP, who've been on payroll for 12 months, and their retirement date will be April 1st of 2022. So it's going to cover things specific to that VOP that might not, you might not have with a regular retirement, such as the RHRA, the VOP travel passes, and when you would get payouts for certain things and so on. So anyone can feel free to log in, but it is going to be more based on the information that the people who took that VOP will need. The next one will be on March, actually our thing says March 20th, but it's March 29th. So we're going to have to correct that from 11 to 1 also. And that's going to be a regular retirement seminar. And it's just going to cover your, if you have a pension, who to contact to start your pension, the 65-point plan, all the normal retirement stuff that we cover. This is going to be a new format that we're going to try out. It's going to be an event where we have some members live in the audience here at DFW, and it will also be virtual and streamed so people can join in online as well. So if it works well, we may go to doing that more often in the future. So the next thing I wanted to cover is a few little things for 1K. There seems to be we've got some new hires coming in now, and there seems to be a little bit of confusion as far as how soon you can start contributing to the 401K. So the answer to that is you can start contributing right away from your very first paycheck. It's the employee contribution that starts right away, and we encourage everybody to start contributing right away because you don't really realize it seems like a small amount, and I know your paychecks are small when you start out, but if you get into the habit of it and kind of just, it gets deducted pre-tax, you don't even know it's there. And believe me, everyone who I have spoken to who started from day one is really glad that they did. So for the first 12 months, you can do the employee contribution, and then what kicks in after 12 months is the AA company contribution and match. So the company contribution is made without you doing anything. If you don't do anything at all, the company after 12 months is going to start contributing 3%. If you match, that the company would match what you put in up to 2.5%. So what we like to encourage people to do from day one is go ahead and put in the 2.5% when you start your career and open your 401k, because then after 12 months, you don't even have to think about it. And then the company will start matching and contributing, and you'll get 5.5% from the company. After that, a good rule of thumb is every year when you get your pay raise, increase it by at least 1%. But if you want to do more, it's great. You can always do more, and we encourage that. You can do that by logging on to the My Net Benefits website. That's basically the Fidelity website, or you can link to Fidelity from JetNet.
I think there is on that, you can do the annual increase where you don't have to go in.
You can set it up so that happens automatically on a certain date every year.
Yeah.
That's correct. Another easy way to do it. And then just had a little chart for information's sake on next slide, showing kind of the number of retirements over the past few years. So in 2019, total retirements was 643. Obviously, they hadn't offered any of the early outs yet at that point. By 2020, they had started with COVID offering the early outs, and we had 1,427 between the VOPs and the regular retirements. So obviously not as many regular retirements, but a lot of VOPs. And then, so that was, twice as many, more than twice as many retirements than the previous year. And then for 2021, we've had 3 times as many as in 2019. So the VOPs have made a big difference when it comes to retirements. And we'll just have to track this year and see how it goes now that the company's not offering any more VOPs. We do have the group that's going in April, so they'll show up. And then other than that, it will be normal retirements. So that's pretty much it for now. I'm already thinking about what to add in the next update. So if you have any suggestions, let us know.
Great information. And Kim mentioned that they're going to be doing a hybrid training, which is great. That means that they'll be using the new room that we have here for training at APFA. We hope to be doing many trainings here in person and then offering it virtually also, so that we can get as many people trained on everything, right? Contract scheduling. As soon as possible. So, but we know retirement, you guys have been pretty consistent with that, and I'm sure that we will have quite a few attendance. So thank you very much for all your work. Okay, and we're moving on to our last department right now, and this is the National Ballot Committee, and we have Adam Brooks here, who is our chair of that department, and he'll be giving us an update on the election.
Thank you so much, Julie. I appreciate it, and thanks for everyone who's joining today. It's such a great platform. If those of you who aren't familiar with the National Balloting Committee, we call it the NBC, we have lots of acronyms. We oversee the elections of the local officers at your base, the executive committee, negotiators, and of course your national officers. We also oversee the balloting for the important stuff like contracts, letters of agreements, and constitutional referendums for the union. Just a couple quick points I want to make before I just kind of tell you a few updates. Just make sure it's really important, especially every year, you make sure that your address, your phone number, your email is updated with APFA. That can be done on the website. It's really important. That's where your balloting information goes. And also, just as a side note, just make sure you're always dues current to be eligible to vote. That's important to note. So if you ever question that status, make sure you follow up on that. So I do have a couple updates to share with you. Currently, we have willingness to serves open for 2 of our ad hoc place positions. That's position 3 and 4. There's a total of 5 positions. 2 of them are open. It is a 3-year term. You can find the willingness to serve form on the main APFA page, as well as our National Balloting Committee page, which is under the department section on the APFA website. If you're not familiar, the ad hoc is also known as the executive committee. So it is an intermediate level here of leadership between the board of directors and the national officers. The main update I have to share, which we're excited about, we are in the process of finalizing the selection of a new balloting company. We're happy to share that we've selected a company called Yes Elections, who is based out of New York. This company has a lot of safeguards and industry-leading practices to ensure full compliance with applicable election laws and standards, which is really important. And also we're excited because Yes Elections has the ability to offer us a variety of voting methods and options to best fit our membership's needs, and technology and advancements are changing all the time. And so we felt that this is going to be a really great partnership, fresh start. So more to come down the road on that. And that's all I had to share from the National Balloting.
Thank you, Adam. Thanks. All right, and I'm going to have, because Adam mentioned it about dues current, I'm going to have Eric Harris, our treasurer, talk about how our flight attendants who are not dues current.
Yes, so the easiest way to get dues current, or to at least check your balance, see if you have a balance, is to go on the APFA website, apfa.org, and click sign in or my account. You'll log in with that information. If you have trouble logging in, there's a forgot your password link that you can reset it there, or you can call our membership department at 817-540-0108, extension 8153. But there, Josh is showing you. You click on my account, and you'll see on the left side there's an overview with your information. You can always check to make sure that's correct. Your email is very important to make sure you receive our hotlines, and your address on the right. And then you can click on
Make sure I don't have a balance.
Yeah.
Josh is in a good standing. I make sure all the time. In fact, he's overpaid us. So that's where you make your payment, and we take all credit cards. And if you're having any trouble with that, you can always call in. But that is the fastest and easiest way to get dues current.
Thank you very much for that. All right, well, a lot of good information. We have a few questions. I think we're going to take just a couple of them because we are really pushing an hour and a half here. But if we can kind of get through just a couple of these, and Kathy, I think one of them is for the health department. It says, is the 10-day leave per occurrence?
No, it used to be you could have as many pandemic leaves as you were, there was no limit, but they decided in October, once the vaccine mandate had gone into place and everybody being vaccinated would change the dynamics of the policy. So for us, we now, starting October 1, have a maximum of 10 days. So if you get get COVID and are out for 10 days and get it again the next month, you're on your own. It's your own sick call. So, or if you're testing and you're out for 5 days and it's negative, then you've got that 5 days there and you can use it again another time. So that's why I encourage you, it's important to look at pandemic policy to make sure it hasn't changed. They've been waiting for SAFO guidance, but also don't put in 10 days if you don't need 10 days because you might need it next month.
Great, thank you, Kathy. Okay, we have a couple for our EAP department, and one, I have the information. We have a flight attendant who asked, what is Bridget's phone number? And that's Bridget Kirchner. We'll make sure to add that to our slide. And her phone number is 817-729-4247. We'll make sure to add that
If I can just add something.
And
that number, sorry, Sharon, you probably were going to.
Go ahead, Larry.
No, I was just going to say that number is on the form.
Yes.
That's given to you when you sign that you've received notification that you have to go to to the test site to to perform your drug and alcohol testing. So her number it's very clear. Her number is on there. Yes, just if you in doubt, just refer to that form that you signed off on when you were met at the aircraft.
Okay, and then Sharon, we have another question for you. The medical benefits of CBD and THC are great. EU flight attendants are able to use products with those chemicals, but are saliva tested. Can our PAC start to advocate responsible use for flight attendants with the DEA and FAA? And I guess that's for Sharon and government affairs, that they want us to advocate so that we can start using those products in the US also. Sharon, any information on that?
Well, I was at a FDAP conference and had the opportunity to sit down with some of the FAA people that have the ability to make that sort of change. And, you know, me also I would like to use CBD, but they said there is no way at this time that they're going to lift that restriction. And we are getting, you know, some products, people, I know and I believe that that's what they use, and they had a positive test. So it's really, as long as you're working in a safety sensitive job, they're not going to allow it. Okay, and we will get Allie and Lori on that also to help. Maybe try and see what we can do there. There's our next action that we need from our government affairs team. Okay, great. All right. And Sharon, I've got one more for you. Do people test positive after consumption of poppy seed? You know, I haven't recently had anyone, you know, claim that they ate something, you know, poppy seed, but it is said that if you eat anything with poppy seeds, especially right before a drug test, it could show up positive. But it's not anything more clearly stated than that.
Okay, thank you, Sharon. Okay, next question, Larry, you might handle this. Please discuss what an FSM can discuss during these newly introduced Getting to Know Your FSM meetings.
So referring to the company communication that was sent out recently, the purpose of the Connect meeting is for you to ask questions and give open and honest feedback about what's happening on the line and how flight service can better support you. This is not a meeting to discuss your attendance. Let's say, you know, you received a passenger letter, things like that. That is not the intent of this meeting. As the company has stated, it's an opportunity if you haven't met your service manager or not recently connected with them, an opportunity. It's really your opportunity to discuss issues, challenges that could be, you know, happening on board with your work. I for one would definitely discuss some of the challenges with staffing reductions on certain flights, things like that. I hope that answers your question. It's really just an opportunity for them to, you know, ask you questions, but not specific to anything related. If it involves discipline or, no.
Okay, great. Thanks, Larry. All right, next, Belia. For IODs and the state timelines, does it go with where you live, where you're based, or where it happens?
Where you're based.
Yeah. So and I think information actually that you put on the screen is all our bases.
Right.
So that will help everyone to know that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Belia. Okay, and we have one on the 10-hour rest. I think I can answer. The 10-hour rest, when does that start? When the brakes are on? Or when we actually deplane as a crew? So we call it release now, but that's the end of our debrief period. So domestically, after you get in, you have a 15-minute debrief. It's at the end of that. Once that is finished, then that is when the rest is calculated from. So hopefully that answered that question. I know we used to use debrief all the time, but now our terminology in the JCBA is release and report. So release is the same as the end of debrief. Okay, and let's see here. I think that might be it for our questions. I do see we have some negotiations questions on here, and I will make sure that those get to the negotiating team. They are here with us this week. We're negotiating. And so I'll be heading right over there after we leave this meeting, and I'll make sure to take these questions with us. Look forward to a town hall with all of you to discuss the current status of our negotiations also soon. Well, thank you everyone so much for number one, tuning in this week. We're really happy that you were able to take time out of your busy day and to join us. Hopefully we were able to answer some questions for you about your job, about the different departments. And we welcome any feedback on this town hall so that we can make sure our next one, we're addressing the concerns that matter to you the most. So I hope you enjoyed the town hall. Thank you to everyone here, all the department chairs, officers, and everyone on the line. And please, please stay informed. It's the most important thing you can do right now, especially during negotiations, but especially being everything about your job. Having the hotlines and reading them, I know that's probably the primary way we communicate with you today. It is the primary way, and they're very important. We put a lot of information out. We know it's a lot to take in, but we're working on getting those into our website so that maybe when you go, I know there's information out there for me, that it's easier for you to find. So hopefully we'll have that done soon. But until then, please stay informed. So thank you. And fly safe.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.